It's Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show. We are live here in our Kingdom Financial Group studio, also live on Facebook and on YouTube. And it's a special conversation that we're having here today as we talk about Domestic Violence Awareness Month. That is October. And with us from Safe Journey is Scott DeBruycker. He is the fundraising development coordinator for Safe Journey, mysafejourney.org. Scott, thanks so much for being on the show. Appreciate it.
Oh, I'm very excited. I was looking forward to this over the last couple of weeks.
Awesome. All right, we're a family show. We'd like to get your origin story. Where are you from? Have you grown up around here or kind of transplanted in?
I'm a northwestern Pennsylvania boy. I grew up mostly in Meadville, went to Edinboro University for my education after high school. I've lived in Erie. I lived in Erie for 5 years, I believe, between 2011 and 2016, so I know the city pretty well.
Sure.
I just know the country and the urban areas.
Cool. And what got you involved in this line of work here? What drew you to this stuff?
Well, I've been working with fundraising. I started with the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra, the Cleveland Orchestra, and I also work with the Crawford Heritage Community Foundation. Okay. But during all that work, I generally was working largely with the arts. And I feel like we can make a big impact in our communities when we put our effort into it. And something like domestic violence is something that's affected my own personal life, and it's in some way been a part of the landscape of what I've seen for my entire life. And so that's why when I saw the opportunity at Safe Journey was open, I thought it would be a good chance for me to kind of put my energy into something that I truly believe in. And I think it's rare in the world that we live in today that we get to do that. We get to put our energy into something that we truly believe in.
I would agree with you. And so, it's a great opportunity for you. Talk about the mission of Safe Journey and maybe a little bit of their history, I should say. Yeah.
Well, Safe Journey has been serving the rural Erie County area since 1978. And Safe Journey provides services such as a 24-hour hotline for domestic violence victims. There's sheltering when needed. We also provide transportation, food, clothing, and any other number of resources that we can bring to bear on the individualized needs of the people that we do serve.
And again, when you think about the clientele, talk about the scope of that, because you were saying off air, this affects a lot of different people, men, women, children, the whole nine yards, right? I mean,
well, historically, something like domestic violence has been concerned with women, but we've come to find over the decades that there are far more than just women that are being affected by these types of relationships. And so you also don't have domestic violence just based in socioeconomically depressed areas. People with money, people without money, all are affected by domestic violence the same, because it's not a condition of economics. It's a condition of the person that you're with and their ability to control themselves. And so many different things can come into the circumstances of a person's life that can create the type of pressure that results in domestic violence.
That's remarkable. And so their service area is this broad area, but mostly in the rural Erie County. And what we in meeting Lori in years past, the executive director. We learned a lot about this, Purple One program and things, and that has really kind of set that agency apart, hasn't it?
It certainly has. We've created, and I'm telling you what, the people that I work with at Safe Journey are truly the hardest working people I've ever had the honor of being able to spend a work day with. They designed a couple of programs, one in particular, which is Purple One, that's been extremely effective. And what we do is we train organizations, individuals, community leaders to recognize, respond, and refer victims of domestic violence to services. And one of the reasons why it's so great is it's a way to discreetly be able to go and find services. So if you are in some way being controlled by an abusive person and it's hard to get away from them, you can find a purple dot just at a local boutique. Mm-hmm. And you can say to the person you're with, hey, I want to just go check out some clothes. You can go into the shop, discreetly speak with the people there, and you can find out that there are services that are available to you. And actually, it's been so effective that over the last year, it's increased our hotline calls by 3 times and our service referrals by 4 times. I don't believe that's because there's been an increase of domestic violence. It just means that there's more availability for victims to find options to get themselves out of the hard places that they're in.
Do you think that that was a major felt need before this program came online, that you had the amount of abuse out there, yet people didn't feel like there was a way out, I guess?
I think that that's definitely true. When you think about being, I lived in Meadville for many years, and you have Walmart on top of the hill, right? And it seems easy that you just got to go to the store and you got to pick up stuff, but it's not really so easy. When we find ourselves in these places separate and we don't have a car, we don't have means of transportation, sometimes abusers do things like keep phones from the victims. A rural area means that the services are even more sparse and even more difficult to come by. So by us linking this string of pearls that are the purple 1 dots in the businesses and shops that you might find in your own town, we make things come closer together, and we give a person that might seem very distant from options, we bring them to a place where they're not distant and where they're very real and available.
You were telling me off air that how many purple dots are out there? I mean, there's been quite a large acceptance of people willing to join up and get this training for Purple One, right?
Well, I do not want to give the wrong number, because I would hate to.
But it's in the dozens.
Oh, it's well over 40, I do believe, and there's a number that I'm thinking, but I don't want to say that because it could be incorrect. But definitely over 40 different organizations, businesses, homes where a person who individually has been trained to work with victims of domestic violence, where they can turn to and they can find services immediately. Yeah,
and again, it basically it takes it away from just one hotline or one location to go to. I also, again, for people that may not be aware of how real this issue is, I think it's the Safe Journey website that has a little emergency button on the top of it, right?
Yeah, it's all about discretion.
So if you're like looking for help and your abuser comes by, you can click the emergency button and it goes to something innocuous.
Yeah,
or whatever.
It dips right out of the website that you're on, which is our website, so that you can once again look for help discreetly. With this type of very sensitive work that we're doing, it's all about being able to find options for people so that they don't put themselves into an even more threatening outcome. Because often when a perpetrator, when the person abusing the victim finds out that they're looking for a way out, it can escalate things. And keeping in mind that over the last 5 years, there have been 11 deaths due to domestic violence just in Erie County alone, it makes things seem very real.
Yeah, the statistics have been alarming. Even in the city, gang related deaths have shot way down, but the domestic deaths are up, and so that's super scary stuff. The what else? Is there a theme to Domestic Violence Awareness Month this year? Is there a special educational narrative that the community that Safe Journey is a part of is trying to communicate?
Well, really what we're just trying to do is expose this very real problem in our communities so that everyone can see that it's something, one, that's happening, and it could be a neighbor that it's happening to, but also that it's something that they can help with. We're actually this year, because it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month, we're going to be throwing a ball on October 19th called the Masquerade Ball. That's going to be at Enchanted Beginnings in Corey. We would love everyone to join us. In fact, your smile alone is what's going to make the party really fun. So we need everyone that can join us. You can go and find out more about the Masquerade Ball at mysafejourney.org/masquerade-ball. I believe our tickets are $35. That money goes immediately to serving the community that we live in, your neighbors and your friends, and it never leaves this space. And as I said, the women that I work with are the hardest women that are the hardest working women that I've ever been with, and your money goes to a good place when you help us at Safe Journey.
Talk a bit about some of the partnerships. Again, when you're talking about nonprofits in Erie County, there's a lot of working together, and I'd be interested in seeing if some of the issues that other nonprofits have if you guys are having the issues with getting enough workers and things like that, you know.
Well, yeah, it's difficult being able to get people involved. We've got a lot of help in different areas.
Is it a lot of volunteers that are part of this work here?
We have volunteers that help us with many things. We have lawyers that help us with kind of navigating the legal world, because you can really kind of set yourself back if you don't go in the right direction. So we do have attorneys that help us with guidance on how to serve people. We have other people throughout the community that are volunteers. We actually have our domestic violence task force, the Erie County Domestic Violence Task Force, and those are all community leaders and authorities that are volunteers and help us with things like Purple One and bringing services to people. But as far as the people that are doing the work in Safe Journey, they're professionals. Our counselor advocates are not volunteers. They're people that put a lot of time into training and education so that they can, in the most effective way, be able to serve the community that comes to us and the victims that come to us that need help. So yes, we do have volunteers that help, and we cherish what they do for us, but the people that are manning the phones and those that are doing the boots on the ground work, those are very highly educated and trained individuals that are prepared to serve the victims that come across our hotline or to our shelter.
Okay, so I was going to ask you, you have a shelter kind of as a safe house, right? I mean,
yeah, we do have a shelter, and that's something when needed, men, women, children can come to us and find options to be in a safe place. However, the shelter is not the entirety of our work. Oftentimes when you think of a domestic violence agency, you think sheltering is probably the biggest part of the work, but it's actually only a fraction of what we do for the community. Much of what it is counseling, legal advocating, medical advocacy. So there is a lot that's involved. And keeping in mind that we also provide things like food, clothing, and tangible resources to people that are getting themselves out of domestic violence situations.
What would entail of medical advocacy? I mean, basically kind of being with someone who's having a difficult time communicating with their doctor?
Well, it does have to do with counseling largely, but it has to do with the fact that we're not going to be able to serve victims of domestic violence properly unless we have the proper network of people throughout the community. And when you look toward healthcare, you find in healthcare many resources that victims would be able to use and that they will need. And so being able to link a vast network such as the healthcare system is really important. And so it's a major part of the work that we do, is working hand in hand with our healthcare professionals.
Is there an issue when it comes to people that are in an abusive situation where they have a difficulty being heard by professionals? I mean, like when you say you have to do advocacy, in the medical establishment, it's like, okay, so what's going on there that people aren't just hearing them plainly for what they're saying? You know what I mean?
Well, it's really easy to see that a person is going through something hard and to kind of like move along, because
without taking the time or whatever.
Not taking the time, not knowing how to handle the situation, not wanting to put yourself in danger. There are many reasons why a person wouldn't immediately help a person who is a victim of domestic violence. And again, that's precisely why we have a program like the Purple One program, because we're not only empowering victims, but we're empowering individuals in the community to be able to help us get these services to those that are in need of it. And so, yeah, it is important that we train people, because you say to yourself, I want to help. If I saw a person in danger, I would do what needs to be done, but it's not generally as easy as you might imagine. And let's say
some of this stuff is not intuitive. I mean, like, what would you do? You've got, I don't know if I want to get in the middle of that or something. If you see something, let's say at the store or whatever, and obviously way over the top confrontation, you know what I mean?
And that's another point that's really big. You see a person who's actively dealing with an abusive situation and you're at a store, it's not necessarily the best and wisest decision to, one, put yourself directly in between that, and two, to create a situation that's actually going to create worse outcomes by allowing the abuser to know what's happening. Again, when a person who's abusive finds that their victim is looking for a way out, it puts them in a lot of, one, they don't want that person to go away.
Yeah.
Two, there are liabilities that go along with being recognized as a perpetrator. And so
that's dicey, huh?
yeah, it can get really dicey. And so once again, that's why the Purple One program has been so effective, and it is because you don't want to just go with your gut feeling and run and save a person from a situation, keeping in mind that a person that's in physical danger, that needs help immediately, sometimes you have to overlook the fact that the perpetrator or the abuser is there, and sometimes they just need help. So again, looking at the situation, it's best to act in a wise fashion, and when you have a sense of what that is, it helps.
Scott DeBruycker is with us here. He's with Safe Journey based in Union City here. I want you to talk about this fundraising that's coming up here, this masquerade ball, just a couple Saturdays from now.
Yes, it won't be this Saturday. It'll be the following Saturday on October 19th. And as I said, the folks that I work with are very hard workers, and we've generally budgeted the agency through grants. And grants are great because you can get something like your fridge goes kaput, and you get approved for a grant for a fridge. And let's say you get the best deal you possibly can, and it's $150 less than what you were given in the grant. Most people would think that you could then stock the fridge with that money, but you can't. You have to send it back to the grantee. So the reason we need help from the community is so we can act agilely and in the moment, so that we can be sure that people have food, they have clothing, and we do get clothing through donations, but we want to be able to get things like undergarments. So we need the community to come together and help. And you can help us by joining us at the Masquerade Ball, getting a ticket for $35. You can also go to mysafejourney.org and donate immediately right there. Once again, your money will go directly to this community, and we'll be there to help your friends and neighbors who might be in need. And so we would appreciate that help. But again, you can go to mysafejourney.org/masquerade-ball if you'd like to join us for the Masquerade Ball. And of course, if you are a victim in need of help, please call our hotline at 814-438-2675. The work of being able to provide for the agency is important, but what's most important is for the agency to be able to find victims that are in need of help and be able to give them that help. So please, if you're a person in need of help, call us at 814-438-2675. We are ready to help you.
Yeah, that's something that you're going to want to put in your phone. I've got just like a couple minutes left, Scott, and I wanted to ask about folks that would you necessarily need to be in the county areas to sign up for this Purple One, or to at least investigate more about it?
No, if you're not in the
if you're in the suburbs or in the city, whatever.
If you're in the suburbs, we do trainings right now that are free for Purple One. In the city of Erie, we've been doing trainings. We have people in Meadville. I just saw a group that did trainings out of Illinois.
Oh, wow.
In, I believe it was May, Purple One was unrolled on a national level. And so that has happened because it's been effective, and because people have seen how much of an impact it's had on our rural community. And it's also being looked at by state officials as a major education program for people to learn not just what domestic violence is, but how we, in a very deliberate and wise way, can help people that are in these threatening situations.
Yeah, there's so much about it that makes a lot of sense, and just, I wouldn't call it, it's not stealth, but it is definitely accessible. It's a purple dot on your window. I mean, it's like, but it says, it's kind of like the old days where you had the civil defense, we have a fallout shelter. Yeah, I mean, it's a place of refuge, right?
It is. These are considered safe spaces, And these people have been through a very rigorous training program so that they can handle your individual situation in a sophisticated way that's discreet. And that's the word that I like to use, is discreet. Because once again, we don't want a person who's already in danger to have the level of that danger go up because they're looking for help.
Yeah. Do you think that we could, I got less than a minute, but do you think that we can get to a better place when it comes to domestic violence? Can people kind of chill out and maybe, be better humans, by doing self-care and learning about themselves?
There was Saturday mornings, there used to be on one of the major networks, they used to say, the more you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, the more you know, the better you handle things. Sometimes just by having the language of something new, you suddenly can apprehend it on a far deeper intellectual level. And that alone can help you navigate personally something like domestic violence, and also be able to render aid to those in need throughout our community. So yes, I truly believe that just education is what we need to be able to make a huge difference in all of our communities throughout America.
Wonderful. From Safe Journey, Scott DeBruycker, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it was my pleasure. I really had fun.